Hey y'all, hope your Saturday's going well. Out here in the first patch, and guess I can show it to you now. I got about 15 or 20 of these on as many plants, and just kind of a cool realization this evening. Look at there. They're a little late, but not really. Little baby watermelon coming on. Plants are looking good. Vines are growing nicely. Spaced them out a little better, but they'll make right on anyway. Hey Susan, how are you? You might say, okay, it's a watermelon, big deal. Yeah, I guess it can be. For me, it's kind of a realization that's the cash crop that my family, my mama and papa and all my uncles and my mom, that's what they sustained themselves off of, paid cash for everything they had, and always had good things, all off of that little bitty thing we just showed you on a massive scale. And I guess for me, yeah, it's just a watermelon. You're thinking, well, what do you expect? You put a watermelon seed in, it's gonna make a watermelon. Yeah. Yeah, I guess you'd call that faith, wouldn't you? Maybe we could practice it and everything. But it's really cool to see that, knowing that back on this old place. And of course, when they were here, I didn't have the run of it, didn't make a garden. That was their deal. And knowing right inside of it, made a little garden by hand, and there's the first watermelon off of it. Kind of full circle on the tradition. So kind of a good evening. For the rest of you that maybe can be, or some of them can be high and mighty on, well, that's a watermelon, the seed. Okay, how about this? We'll give you, because I'm in wonderment at how all this stuff grows. Always will be. I guess that's what keeps me grounded. But why don't you take a little random matter? You can have unlimited fertilizer and best dirt, unlimited water, but you got to start off with just random matter. You can do it on a computer if you want, but I need to be able to eat it. And it better taste like a watermelon. He designed it perfect. Sure did. Pretty cool. Well, we finally got this thing completely rode up, and corn's in, late peas are in. It looks like the sprinkler's going straight up in the air. So I guess I'll need to put that here in just a minute. Hey Donna, how are you? Speaking of Donna and Kim, I spent the week up here, man, that was a treat. Not here necessarily, but she was in and out up here. Had some time with Mom and Dad, but I was talking about clearing some of this undergrowth and brush by the chicken houses. And she countered about the shade, and she's got a good point, but I think we can do both. The reason, I did do some of it today, by the way. Didn't get as far as I needed to. But here's why these trees don't belong next to the chicken house. Let me show you. It was designed for cross flow. And when you have a big old tree come up and block it, you ought to feel the wind coming through here. So that's the reason that some of these trees have got to go. We'll leave some of them because they do have some shade value. But that's how this is. Actually an old hog barn. It's been, and that's why we got to clear some of it. I don't think these are really providing a whole lot of shade value, just coral snake hiding habitat. Guess I'll put on my big boy boots and get after it and get those knocked down and leave the big ones. Hey Donna, how are you? Good to see you. Alicia. Let's see who else we got on here. Pamela, Margaret. Hey, hey Phil, how are you? I saw you on there. I shared a picture earlier of that old thermometer. Just know that was in the shade. But I was out there finishing that last row, and my cousin Donna's watching. Her dad, Uncle Nathan, I keep talking about him, but man, he has haunted me on these rows. It took me quicker to plow that patch up by hand than to set these rows. I had a tape measure out and measuring about every 4 foot. I couldn't stand it. But I was hoeing that last one and getting it set on top, and I was about 10 feet from the end, and I'd go 80 foot, take a break, just hot, and then do another one. And I didn't know if I was gonna make it that last 10 foot because it was about noon and it was some hot out here. And that's when I realized that it's a good thing I didn't put these things 90 or 100 foot long, because I'd had to do the rows in 2 hits. All I had was 80 foot in me and I had to go sit down, take a little break. But been a beautiful day. Oh man, Sandy, I hate to hear that. It says no power until I forget where she's at. You can sound off and tell us. That's gonna be, I hope you're in the mountains or something where it's a little cooler, because that'd be rough. I think effort's all I could write it off to. Hey Gary, how are you? Yeah, we need a little rain. I think we've got some Thursday, 20 or 30%. Might get a passing shower, but it's gonna be all right. Kind of excited to see what this old ground will do. It did good on that other little patch. Hadn't nothing been planted on it for, I don't ever remember anything planted here. It's just been old pasture for the last 15, 20 years. So it ought to be packed with nutrients. That chicken house is, sorry Kim, but that old chicken house is closed. I just took buckets of their recycled food, to put it nicely, and tilled all that up in the garden, so it should come on along. I'm anxious to see it. So for those of you keeping track, we've got let's see, 160 foot of purple hulls, 160 foot of Crowders, and then what's that, 240 foot of corn. And that's just about half the garden. This will be oh, okay, all right, Sandy. Well, I hope y'all get that power back on up Georgia. Hate that. So that's what's planted where you see the pipe, and this is reserved for some of the later summer crops, fall. Got the tomatoes plants that we'll transplant here pretty quick in that lower half. And I'm gonna go ahead and use a Native American trick, and on that corn, I think it'll work out all right. Just to try it. Some of y'all may be familiar with companion planting, and one of the most famous companion planting techniques, I believe it was the Iroquois. All of us know the story of the first Thanksgiving and all that. Well, that's what was employed back then, in that they would take the corn and they planted beans around it about a week later, and then after that they'd plant squash, and each of those different plants provided nutrients for the other. The corn stalk would provide the trellis basically for the beans, and the squash leaves would provide the shade for the roots. So I'll give that a shot on a couple of those rows, see how that works out. But that'll be neat. And then another trick is basil and tomatoes. So after you thin your tomatoes down to about 18 to 24 inches, drop your little basil plant in between them, and they complement each other as well, both in the garden and on the plate, right? So we'll do a few things this fall and see what we can come up with. I'm excited about it. It's been a good day, and we're gonna kind of wind down this evening. Got some more potting to do, and we'll eat dinner and get some rest, and look forward to going over to Huntington tomorrow and being in church with Mom and Dad. It's always cherished. Didn't do enough of it, but never too late to start, right? So that's what we're doing. But all right, yes, Kathy, we do need some rain. Well, hey, y'all have a good evening, and I guess that's about it for this evening. And I did get away from some wasps today. That was about the most exciting thing over staying cool. I was out at my Aunt Bonnie's helping a few things, and moved a log, watching for snakes. And I guess it was just instinct, didn't see a snake, but about the time I saw that white familiar wasp nest under that log, I started running and they started chasing. And thank goodness there was enough pasture to get away from them. I was headed to the creek just in case. But I avoided catastrophe. And she was on the porch watching me holler and didn't know what had happened. But all I knew was I had to get away from there and quick. But anyway, all right. Well, y'all have a good evening, and hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Make somebody smile. Y'all know what we say. Good time to practice it tomorrow and every day. Be the light. Talk to you later.